To be learning the Python programming language using something called Google Colab. Get to Google Colab, you will open a web browser and you will have to join Google, set up a Google account if you don't already have one, or log in as yourself, and then type in Google Colab, C-O-L-A-B. When you do this, you come to Google Colab and you will start a notebook. And we want to start a new notebook, so I can see this down here in the bottom. And I start a new notebook. And with the Google Colab notebook, what I can do is I can write text and code, and I can run the code within my notebook. And it will automatically save all of my work. So this is my new notebook, and I'm going to change the title to Python Tutorial. That's the title of my notebook. And here I can add code, and I can run the code. Here I can add text. So the first thing I'm going to do is we're going to learn how to type some simple Python code. So what I can do is I can type print hello, and then I can run that code by pressing the button here and running the Python code. And this is the output, hello. I can type in hello Joe. I can run my code, rerun my code, and it's going to print out my message, hello Joe. So let's see if we can do something a little bit more interesting, and we can have something called a variable. A variable is a place in memory that temporarily stores data. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put in a hash symbol. This allows me to write a comment in my code that won't be interpreted by the when I run it, it won't be interpreted as Python code. So I can just put comments in my code. So what I'm going to say is a variable stores data while the code is being run. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to give myself a variable. I'm going to do name equals, and I'm going to put quotes. I'm going to say equals Joe. So what I can do is come over here and I can do hello, and then I'm going to put in the variable name. I'm going to run this. So if I change my value in my variable to Jim and I run it, and it says hello Jim. So I'm assigning, called an assignment operator, I'm assigning a value name, and then I can use the variable name and it will output the value of that variable. Now I put this in quotes because this is something called a string, and don't worry too much about it right now, but a string is a string of characters, and the characters in this string are J, I, and M. So string is a string of characters. I can also have a variable that has an integer. So I could have age and assign the value 12. Now this type of value is called an integer, which means a whole number. Whole number. I could have a value of something called weight, and it could have a value of 2.5, and this will be called a real number. A real number, or in Python it's referred to as a float because it has a floating point. This is a decimal place, the fraction. So I can have things called variables, which are stores of values, and then I can use them and output them. So for instance, I can come over here, I can copy this and paste it, and then I can do age and in the variable age. And over here I can put in the weight, perhaps the weight of a package in kilograms or something like that. Weight. And I could put in the weight of my variable name, weight. And then when I run this, my data is being printed out here. And if I change these values over here, for instance, I can put this in as 3.6, and I can change this to 14. And if I rerun it, the values change down here. They're reflected in this storage area. And that's covering how to run, how to Python code, how to assign values to a variable, a temporary store of data while the code is running, and how to reference these variable values and output them to the screen. I can actually close that, keep my code, and add that again. What I can also do here is I can add some text if I wish, and I'm going to give this a title. I'm going to do input, output, and variables. Perhaps I want to make it bold, and if I do that, this is just for my notes. I click away. I have this. I might want to have that above the text. This is text, this is code, and this gives me some notes and some examples I can look at later. And finally, what I might like to do is I might like to get input from the user, from the person that's running the program. So for instance, age, I might assign it, and I'll use something called input, and I'll give a message, and the message will say enter your age, and then I will output age, print age again, put the variable in there. Now when I run this, I'm going to get an error. Watch what happens, or I should get an error. So my age is 15, I enter that. Oh, it did work. If I was going to use that in a calculation, then what I have to do, an integer, because right now currently it's a string of characters, so I was able to output it. But if I wanted to output age, how old I'm going to be in 2 years, and I do age plus 2, and I run it, and I put in my age is 15, it should output 17, but I get an error. And the error is it must be a string, not an integer. So what's happening is when I use this input and I read something from the user, it's reading it as in a string, but my age needs to be an integer in order to be able to do a calculation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do int bracket, then I'll use input, and this is my string as an output message, enter an age. So string always has quotes, a string of characters. But now what it's going to do is going to convert, when I type in 15, it's going to convert it into the type integer, a whole number, assign it to this variable, and then now that it's 15 as a number rather than as a string, I will be able to add 2 to it. So let's see if that worked. So if I enter my number 15, then I get 17, and I no longer get that error message. So if I'm going to read this as an integer, I'll have to do that. I could do a similar thing if I do weight, which has a decimal place. I do a similar thing, but this time what I do is I'm going to do float, input, and enter weight, and I'll print, let's just say your weight plus 2. If I was going to use it as a calculation, and if I enter here's my age, 15, and I enter my weight, I'm going to make it 6.8, and adds 2 to that, I get 8.8. So I've converted it into a float type. So this is all about input and output, reading from the user, output, and storing values in variables.